You send a message. They come online. They read it. Then, nothing. 5 minutes pass. 30 minutes. 3 hours. Suddenly your mind starts creating stories. Did I say something wrong? Are they angry? Do they hate me? You open the chat again. Still no reply. Your heartbeat feels different. Your mood changes. And without realizing it, one unanswered message begins controlling your entire day. But here's the strange part. The real reason this hurts isn't what most people think. It's something your brain has been doing for thousands of years. Imagine this. 2 people receive exactly the same treatment. Both are ignored. One shrugs and moves on. The other can't stop thinking about it. Why? If the situation is identical, why is the emotional reaction completely different? The answer isn't inside your phone. It's inside your brain. And once you understand it, you'll never look at an unanswered message the same way again. Thousands of years ago, being ignored meant something completely different. Humans survived by belonging to a group. If your tribe rejected you, your chances of survival dropped dramatically. Your brain remembers that ancient survival system even today. That's why something as simple as seen without a reply can feel much bigger than it really is. Your brain isn't reacting to a message. It's reacting to possible rejection. It's where overthinking begins. Your brain hates missing information. When someone doesn't reply, your mind automatically starts filling the silence. Maybe they're upset. Maybe they found someone better. Maybe they don't care anymore. The truth? Most of those stories are completely imagined. But your brain prefers a painful explanation over no explanation at all. Something unexpected happens. You check your phone again, and again, and again, not because you're impatient, but because your brain is searching for certainty. Every notification becomes hope. Every vibration feels important, and every silence feels louder than before. This isn't weakness. It's psychology. Let's look at the other side. Why do people actually ignore messages? Most of us immediately assume, they don't care about me. But psychology tells a different story. Sometimes they're genuinely busy. Sometimes they're mentally exhausted. Sometimes they open your message, plan to reply later, and completely forget. But yes, sometimes silence is also a message. And understanding the difference can save you from months of unnecessary pain. Here's something most people never realize. Your brain isn't built to think positively during uncertainty. It's built to protect you. That means, when information is missing, your mind naturally prepares for the worst. Not because it's true, because thousands of years ago, expecting danger increased your chances of survival. Today, that same survival system makes one ignored message feel like rejection. You ever noticed you keep checking your phone, even when you know there won't be a reply? That's because your brain is chasing uncertainty. Every notification could be the one. This is called variable reward. It's the same psychological principle used by social media, casinos, and slot machines. Your phone isn't controlling you. Your brain is chasing hope. Here's the biggest mistake people make. They think being ignored always says something about their worth. It doesn't. Sometimes, it says more about the other person's priorities, their emotional state, or the season of life they're living in. Not every unanswered message is a judgment about you, and realizing that can completely change your peace of mind. Think about this. If one unanswered message can control your emotions, your confidence, and even your entire day, who really has the power? The person who ignored you, or the thoughts inside your own mind? Because in the next part, we'll discover the hidden psychology of emotional attachment, and why the people whose replies matter the most often have the strongest control over our happiness. Notice something strange? The people whose messages matter the most are usually the ones who have the greatest emotional influence over us. Why? Because your brain creates emotional investments. The more memories you share with someone, the more valuable their attention becomes. That's why one ignored message from a stranger means almost nothing. But one ignored message from someone you deeply care about can completely change your mood. The message isn't powerful. The emotional attachment behind it is. Why do you keep opening the same chat again and again? Because your brain hates unfinished situations. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Your mind naturally remembers unfinished experiences better than completed ones. An unanswered message becomes an unfinished story, and until your brain gets an answer, it keeps returning to it. Not because you're weak, because your brain is trying to finish the puzzle. Ago, if someone didn't reply, you simply waited. Today, you can see when they were online, when they were typing, when they read your message, and sometimes, you even watch them posting stories, while your message remains unanswered. Technology didn't create rejection. It simply made silence impossible to ignore. And that's why modern relationships feel emotionally heavier than ever before. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes, people aren't ignoring your message. They're simply responding to what feels most important in that moment. Just like you don't answer every notification immediately, neither do they. The problem begins when we confuse delayed attention with rejection. Those are not the same thing, but an anxious mind often treats them as if they are. And that's where unnecessary suffering begins. What if the real reason you're suffering has nothing to do with the other person? What if the biggest battle is actually happening inside your own mind? Because in the next part, we're going to uncover why some people can move on instantly, while others stay emotionally trapped for weeks over just one unanswered message. The answer has nothing to do with texting. It has everything to do with how your brain values itself. The biggest mistake most people make. They start measuring their value by someone else's attention. One late reply, and suddenly they feel less important. One unanswered message, and they begin questioning themselves. But think about this. If someone doesn't answer your message, does that really change who you are, or does it only change the story your mind is telling you? Your worth has never lived inside someone else's inbox. It has always lived inside you. Psychologists have discovered something fascinating. The people who fear being ignored the most often aren't afraid of silence. They're afraid of what that silence might mean. Because uncertainty creates anxiety, and anxiety makes imagination louder than reality. That's why your mind invents stories long before it discovers the truth. Sometimes, the greatest battle isn't against another person, it's against your own assumptions. Imagine changing one simple belief. Instead of asking, "Why haven't they replied?" ask yourself, "Why does one message have the power to control my emotions?" That single question changes everything, because your peace should never depend on another person's notification. The moment your happiness stops waiting for someone else's reply, you become emotionally free, and freedom is far more valuable than attention. Something worth remembering. The people who truly value you won't make you question your worth every single day. And the people who don't can never define it. Relationships should bring clarity, not constant confusion. So the next time someone doesn't reply, pause before blaming yourself. Because sometimes, silence reveals more about the other person's situation than it ever reveals about your value. Why do people ignore your messages? Sometimes they're busy, sometimes they forget, sometimes they're overwhelmed, and yes, sometimes they've simply chosen a different priority. But none of those reasons have the power to decide your worth, because your value was never hidden inside a blue tick, a seen notification, or a typing bubble. The strongest people aren't the ones who always get replies. They're the ones who never let silence control their happiness. So the next time your phone stays quiet, remember this. Silence isn't always rejection. Sometimes, it's an opportunity to stop seeking validation and start trusting yourself. If this video changed the way you think, subscribe to Human Paradox for more mind-bending psychology and what-if stories. And ask yourself one final question. Are you waiting for someone's reply? Or are you waiting for permission to value yourself?